Hiya guys, it's Alan here. Right, gonna do a bit of a different video today, because on the Hearts of Iron Facebook groups I keep seeing people ask which is the best DLC, which DLC should I go for and all that. Well, let's just do a quick run through so you can sort of see which one's which and which do what. It's the best way to describe it. So the first one we'll be having a quick look at. It's only going to be a short video today. It's going to be Together for Victory. Now, Together for Victory came out in 2016. The main gist behind this one was it focused on the UK and its puppets. Now, it added new focus trees for Canada, Australia, New Zealand, British Raj and South Africa. It also did alternate histories for the Dominions as well. So in other words, they can go off and do their own thing. For example, with Canada, if we have a quick look at that, sorry, shooting across the map here, it's got loads of options in the focus tree. It's a while since I played Canada. Yeah, compromise with Quebec, force Quebec conscription, all this sort of stuff. It's a great DLC if you want to play as one of the Dominions, India, Australia, that kind of thing. The only problem that I've got with this DLC is with Australia in particular. New Zealand to a lesser extent, where Australia's focus tree is extensive, it's brilliant. My only problem is that it's such a weak little country that it's really difficult to do anything with anyway, and New Zealand even worse. The old version of Australia, before the DLC came out, you could actually get somewhere with it, because you could turn fascist fairly quickly. Take out the Philippines, that kind of thing. Now, it's a faff, but it does make it quite a fun game with Australia. So, yeah, it adds focus trees for the Dominions. One of the biggest changes was that it added the autonomy system. Now, what I mean by that is that if we have a look at our subjects here, it adds all this, where you can change autonomy down to a colony. With British Malaya here, it goes to annex. Again, it's a great system, and this to me is one of the core gameplay DLCs to have. There's other little focuses it has, other little changes. So for example, if I just put these guys into a quick army, it adds Spearhead, which I never use, but it adds that. It also adds technology sharing amongst the allies. Yeah, it's just a great DLC, especially if you're intending on playing as the United Kingdom. This to me is one of... If I tell you, when I'm playing my achievement runs and all that sort of stuff, I always have all of the latest DLCs enabled. That way, anybody who's up to date can do what I'm doing. Together for Victory is one of the few that I tend to utilise all the time, especially with the autonomy. So, that's Together for Victory. Next up we got Death or Dishonor. Death or Dishonor came out in 2017. This, I'll be honest, a lot of people say, oh, it's brilliant, it's brilliant. Yeah, it's great if you want to play as Romania, Hungary, Yugoslavia, Bulgaria. It adds new focus trees for those four. So it's basically the Balkans DLC. So if we have a quick look at Romania's, the Romanian focus tree is absolutely vast now. It's brilliant. If you want to play as Romania, it makes Romania a fun country. Same with Hungary, Yugoslavia and Bulgaria. Other than the focus trees, it doesn't add anything to the game that I ever particularly use. It adds equipment conversion. Now, what's equipment conversion? It's a feature that I have never once used, and potentially I should, but I'm trying to think how I could do this. If we made a new version of a tank, and it had a slightly better gun, or a new version of a fighter is possibly a better example with, sort of higher speed, that sort of stuff, it would allow us to convert all of our older models to this newer variant. That's fine, but I never mess around with sort of dabbling with tank templates. It just makes the game too complicated to me, and that's why it's a feature that I never use. I would sooner just build the newer tank that I've just researched than I would mess around with converting the older ones. Personally, I would just rather shove the older tanks, as an example, onto one of my puppets or another country just to get the buffs off of that. So it does add equipment conversion, if that's your thing. It adds new names for fascist puppets, so Reich Missiat and all this sort of stuff. It doesn't bother me and it makes it more confusing. I'd just sooner know they were a puppet or a colony or a dominion, that kind of thing. Other than that, there's a bit of new music, and that's pretty much that DLC. So yeah, Death or Dishonor, if you're intending on playing as one of these 4 countries, it's a fantastic DLC. Absolutely fantastic. If you're not, it's not one that should be high up on your list. Right, we're on to Awaken the Tiger. Awaken the Tiger came out in 2018. This is a bit of a 50-50 DLC, to be honest with you. The biggest change of all that it did was it completely redid all the national focus trees and all the regions around here. And if you like playing in the Far East, it will change your game completely. It does little border wars between these guys. It's a brilliant DLC for the Far East. Does it change the rest of the world? No. The only thing that it does, which I absolutely love and I use all the time, is it added traits to the generals. What I mean by that is, if we have a look at this Field Marshal here, we can give him buffs. You know, sort of, he's got defensive already. We could give him organisation first, reinforcement rate 2%, charismatic, division recovery rate plus 10%. It gives them huge buffs. Generals as well. You know, where, okay, this guy hasn't leveled up yet, but he can have, you know, a brilliant plus 30% entrenchment buff, which applies to his whole army. It adds the traits, which is brilliant. My advice to Awaken the Tiger, it's well worth having, if for nothing else for the traits alone, but wait until it's on sale. And now we come on to Man the Guns, released in 2019. This, to me, if you'd have asked me a few months ago, would have been the least worthwhile DLC buying. It's a Marmite DLC, and what I mean by that is some players absolutely love it, some players like me absolutely detest it. I'm going to show you what I think of this DLC. You will see other YouTubers and other players say, oh, it's brilliant though, it adds this, right. Here's what it adds, is number 1. It adds updated focus trees for the United Kingdom and America. They were focus trees that didn't need messing around with, but they decided to. I hate, and I cannot say it strongly enough, what it has done to the United Kingdom. It now means that if you turn communist as the United Kingdom, you will lose every single bit of territory around the world, with the exception of British Malaya. It means that if you turn fascist, you stand a very slim chance of keeping a couple of colonies, but essentially you're going to be stuck on your own. There was nothing more fun playing as the UK than knocking out France, turning fascist, knocking out France really quickly, coming across, you know, coming into Canada, knocking out America. World conquest, brilliant. Now it's made it 15 times harder. Fun, I will admit, it's a fun focus tree to mess around with, but it's made it harder. It has added new focus trees for Holland and Mexico. Holland, or the Netherlands, that's a fun focus tree. I like it. That's great. Mexico, I've played as once, didn't particularly like it. If you like playing as Mexico, then yeah, it's a good focus tree. It's in-depth. That's by the by. Focus trees, great. What it's also done, to me, is totally and utterly messed up the entire naval system. It's overcomplicated a system that was fine as it was. Why is that? Well, if you love playing naval warfare, then I'm sure this will revolutionise your game. Me, I just like knowing that I've got enough ships to sink the enemy, and that's pretty much it. What it's done, let's come over here a second, is added all of this new stuff, right? It is complex. That is fine if you want to buff your submarines and all that. My problem isn't that. My problem is that I still have the same amount of research slots. If they'd have added an extra one down here just for naval research, great. Even playing as the UK, 5 research slots, I do not have the ability, unless it's a very early game, to spare a research slot when you, just for naval warfare, when you consider you've got all of this stuff to research, all of this stuff to research, chances are you'll be doing artillery and guns and all that. I just don't have a spare research slot, or 2, just to keep all of my ships up to the latest spec. Again, if they'd have added an extra research slot, that would have been great. Or even the ability to unlock a new research slot just for naval warfare. They didn't. That, to me, is why they messed it up. They added new traits for the admirals. Again, to me, as long as the ships have got an admiral, I really don't care. They added mine laying. Mine laying is something that I did once for an achievement, haven't bothered with since, because chances are, if I'm playing as a major, I've got more ships than anybody else anyway. I just don't need to lay mines and sort of dedicate a load of destroyers to doing it. I just don't like this DLC. I think it's completely overcomplicated the naval warfare system, which was a complex enough system as it was already. You might love it. If you love naval warfare and you want to do a naval warfare game, great. But to me, out of all the DLCs, with the exception of La Resistance, this one I just really wouldn't bother with unless you want to have different alternate histories for the UK. La Resistance. La Resistance, I could quite easily spend 15 minutes just ranting about. It is by far the single worst DLC that Paradox have ever launched, and I hate it. Everybody else hates it. I've met one person that said, yeah, it's alright, and other than that, everybody hates this DLC. Let's start with the good. The good is it's added a great focus tree for Portugal. It's a brilliant, brilliant focus tree for Portugal. That's good. The bad thing is that it's also completely messed up the entire system for boosting ideologies, staging coups and that kind of thing. Now, I'm playing as Portugal here. We've had to establish a spy agency, we have to research all this bloody stuff, which takes up civilian factories, and if you're a little country, you can't do that. We need to hire a spy to go and do different things. It sounds very exciting. The problem is, before, if I wanted to boost the fascism in Italy and I was a fascist country, I'd just right-click Italy, boost ideology, boom, done. If I wanted to stage a coup, yeah, stage a coup, boom, done. Now, you don't. Now, I would need a couple of spies building an intel network right the way through Italy, then I would need to boost fascism. It's a faff. It's a complicated faff, and it just doesn't work. It's horrific. It sounds very fun, seeing spies and, espionage and all that sort of stuff. Chances are, your spy will continually get captured. You'll then need to get your other spy to completely wreck their intel network that has spent 20 minutes building to go and rescue that spy. It's an endless cycle of crap. It's a pointless DLC. So, what have we learnt? We have learnt Together for Victory, Waking the Tiger, partially Death or Dishonor. They're good DLCs. The last two, Man the Guns and La Resistance, honestly, I just would not bother with. I really wouldn't. Unless you want to play as Portugal, they're absolutely pointless. Grab them on sale. But yeah, hope that's helped a bit and explained the DLCs, and I will catch you in another video.